What comes to mind when we say Harley Davidson? Stereotypes, lifestyle bikers, dare I say older bikers, or maybe biker gangs? Harley Davidson does seem to be one of the most divisive of motorcycles. Some people seem to love them, some people don't. I have to admit I was guilty of stereotyping Harley Davidson riders, and when I was younger I did have the idea of them of being slow, not only in performance but in handling, and not terribly exciting to ride, but I've always thought they sound good. My name's James, I'm the grumpy petrolhead, and today I'd like to try and explain why I like this motorcycle so much and why I actually bought a Harley Davidson. I do think this is a good looking motorcycle. And I kind of think that a bike that you enjoy riding and enjoy owning, it seems to get better looking. For example, 100 years ago, I was a dispatch rider and I bought a bike which I thought was one of the most ugliest motorcycles, a Honda CX500, and I bought it specifically to go dispatch riding. But after owning it for a while, I found myself starting to look at it differently, thinking, yeah, that's a good looking motorcycle. That's a good looking bike, isn't it? This is in fact my second Harley Davidson. The first one I bought was a Roadster, which is based on the Sportster, and I bought that about 5 years ago. And I didn't have a modern bike at the time, and I was looking for a bike that was characterful and easy maintenance. And I was travelling from Cambridgeshire to Eastbourne quite regularly at the time, so I wanted something reliable and new, really, with a warranty. And it was Catherine who suggested, why don't you look at Harleys? And I said, don't be silly. But I looked on the website and I saw the Roadster, and I thought, well, it's belt drive, nice and easy, hydraulic valves, nice and easy, quite a simple motorcycle. Not too big, not too powerful, and fun. And what appealed to me about the Roadster particularly was that it had mid foot pegs. At the time I wasn't keen on the forward foot pegs, so I decided that was the bike I needed. So I ordered one and I bought one. I owned that Roadster for 3 years. I did 6,000 or 7,000 miles on it, but I was increasingly wanting more power. I did have a stage 2 tune done on it by the dealers. They had a special offer on, so I thought I'd take advantage of that, and that did help. But I just wanted a bit more overtaking power, and I also was looking for a bit more weather protection as well for the type of journey I was doing. So I sold it, and I kind of regret selling it. But I guess we've all regret selling bikes, haven't we? Have you had a motorcycle you've regretted selling? Let us know in the comments, it'd be great to hear from you. There is a lot of chrome on this, isn't there? After selling the Roadster, I went through a series of new bikes, just sort of looking for something I can settle on. And it started with kind of an impulse purchase. I bought an MV Agusta Brutale. Yeah, that was a fast bike. I fancied the idea of a naked Sportster. And it had it weighed nothing, and it had 140 odd brake horsepower, and it had a riding modes and a TFT screen and all these sorts of things, and that was a cracking bike, and I did enjoy that, but it was, I wouldn't say it was too fast, because once I got used to it I was able to hit the rev limiter on it down certain roads. But that was the thing, down certain roads it was a frustrating bike to own, because it was only really enjoyable down quiet roads that I knew well. In any other situation I just wanted to go fast on it all the time. And so the MV Agusta was a terrific motorcycle, but it was a bike I only really enjoyed when I was riding it fast. So I thought, well, I need something else. A pal of mine had an Africa Twin, and he said to me, what you want is one of these. Have a little spin on it, which I did, and I loved it. I thought it was terrific. It was a bike that you could enjoy without going flat out all the time. It was quite relaxing, and it had a DTC gearbox, which was excellent in traffic. So yeah, I bought myself an Africa Twin, and I enjoyed that very much. It was very good, comfortable bike, very good for long distance, and it was simply fun. However, as much as I liked the Africa Twin, getting on and off of it was getting more difficult. My arthritis was getting bad, and I had to have a hip replacement, and the bike all of a sudden looked too tall. I needed a step ladder to get on and off of it. So I thought, I need something else. So the search went on again. Crikey, I'm starting to get through these motorbikes, aren't I? Now, at the time of my recovery from my new bionic hip, the Moto Guzzi V100 Mandello came out, and I bought myself one of those. In fact, I bought the S model, and I thought, how wonderful with all that electronic adjustable suspension and all the things you can do on the computer, and the lean sensitive traction control. Even had a lean sensitive extra light. When you go around a corner, another light would come on when you're leaning. Had all these things, and I loved all that at first. I thought that was terrific. But you tend to spend a lot of time trying to find the right mode, and I was never quite happy getting the suspension just how I liked it, because it was so multi-adjustable. But the handling was terrific, and it was a very good mid-range punchy engine on that Guzzi. Very much an enjoyable bike, and I did 6,000 miles on that machine, and enjoyed it very much. But it still wasn't the right bike for me. So about 4 or 5 months ago, I'm watching YouTube, and one of the people that I follow is Freddie Dobbs. By the way, me buying this motorcycle is your fault, Freddie. And he road tested a Sport Glide, which is this model. And I thought, yeah, that looks like a nice bike. Yeah, and I'm thinking, yeah, but it's a Harley. But I like it. What can I say? So I started looking at other reviews of the Sport Glide, and I saw a couple of reviews of this bike by people who weren't Harley Davidson fans particularly, but they seemed to like it, and they seemed to enjoy riding it. Well, so here I am on YouTube looking at all the reviews of Sport Glides and other Harleys. What can I say? Then I thought I'd better go and take a test ride on one, which I did, and I really enjoyed it. And I found somebody who was willing to part X my V100S, and I bought this bike. So I am now the proud owner of a Harley Davidson Sport Glide, and the bike wasn't new when I bought it. It had a couple of thousand miles on it, and I've done just over 5,000, well, in fact nearly 6,000 miles on the bike now. And there's so much about this bike that I enjoy. One of the things is that it doesn't have rider modes. It does have ABS, but it doesn't have traction control. It doesn't have hardly any tech on it really, and I enjoy that. It's like an old school motorcycle. Something else I'm enjoying about the bike is its inherent simplicity. I like the idea that it's got a separate engine, separate gearbox, and a separate primary drive. And I sometimes think of the benefits and disadvantages of separate gearbox, engine and primary. For example, the oil in the primary is getting contaminated all the time by the slipping of the clutch, and the gearbox, I guess, is getting slightly contaminated by crunching of gears, especially on a Harley. But because they're separate from the engine, it's not going to damage the engine. And when you think about a modern Japanese bike, for example, or most other modern vehicles, they have the same oil for the engine, gearbox and clutch. So I would think you'd need to change the oil more often, and you'd need a good oil filter. I also find this bike more involving in as much as I can service it myself, and I have just serviced it. It's 5,000 mile service, which is an oil filter and clean the air filter. And it's actually relatively easy to do. It doesn't take very long, and it's I can do it myself. I can save money, and that's always a benefit, isn't it? This motorcycle, more than any other, has subjected me to, how shall we say it, mickey taking or criticism from some of my friends who don't understand why I bought something like this. And going back to the beginning of the video, this is the thing about Harley Davidson. They do seem to have as many people love them as many people who, I wouldn't say hate them, but really dislike them. And I was kind of in the latter camp. But now that I've owned it and ridden it and got involved with the servicing myself, I think this is a keeper. I think I've found the bike that suits my riding. It is a deceptively rapid machine. It's the torque. The torque on this bike is really quite something. Now, this is one of the smaller engined of the larger Harleys. This is a 1750, and you can buy bigger engines than that. But it's not a great, I don't know what the brake horsepower is, it might be 85 odd, but the torque is over 100 foot-pounds, and it's such a flat, strong torque curve. It really is fun to ride. And I have to say, for the average speeds that you're riding on the road, between say 30 and 60, this is the best overtaking bike I've had. The overtaking capacity at those sorts of speeds, it really is quite something, and I think it has to be tried to really understand. And I think in some circumstances I can make better progress on this than I perhaps could on my MV Agusta. Well, no, maybe not, but I'd keep my license on this. This is the Harley from the soft tail range, but it does handle really well. Within its limits, of course, but it is a surprisingly good handling machine. And some people do find that odd, me saying that, but it hasn't got the best ground clearance in the world, but it is pretty stable, and it is quite flickable for the size of the machine. But more than that, it's fun to do it. This has a Vance & Hines Pro pipe on it, so it's a little bit noisier than standard, but the noise it's lovely. It's a really nice sound, but it's not the sort of sound that sort of really irritates people. I guess because it's of a lower revving nature, it doesn't seem to be so offensive. Do you ride a Harley? Have you been subjected to a little bit of ribbing because you ride a Harley? If you do, please let me know in the comments. And what is your response to this gentle ribbing about owning a Harley? What is it you say back? I'd love to hear. Now, it did take me a little while to get used to the forward foot pegs and the clunky gearbox. Big thick handlebars and the big thick levers. The clutch isn't especially heavy, but it's got some weight to it, which is oddly satisfying. And what was surprising to me was how easy the bike is to manoeuvre. For such a big machine, I do find it quite easy to push around and to move around. And because the seat height's so low, there's no worries about not getting both my feet flat on the floor. So it is actually quite an easy bike to live with. It's also a bike that's excellent on motorways. It's very stable, plenty of power, all that torque that we talked about earlier, which really does make for a pleasant ride on the motorway. But it's also a good bike in traffic. I find that I think because of the rumble as I approach, people are aware that I'm about, and a lot of cars move over for me. Although the bike is low compared to, say, the Africa Twin, where you've got more of a commanding view and you think you're going to be seen more, you do seem to get noticed quite well on this. And it is slim. The widest part is the handlebars. Even with the panniers on the back, it is quite a handy bike cutting through traffic. I am enjoying owning this motorcycle. I'm enjoying servicing it. I'm enjoying riding it. And what can I say? I'm enjoying just looking at it. The looks of it is growing on me, and it's not something I thought I would ever enjoy looking at when I was younger. But it's so iconic with that massive V-twin engine. I like the fact that it's air-cooled. I like the fact that it's a pushrod twin. To me, it's like, I know it's a cliche, but it is a proper motorcycle. Okay, it's not the fastest thing out there. It's not the best handling thing out there. It's not particularly technically advanced at all. But what it does have is another cliche: character. It's a very characterful bike, and I do find myself looking at other Harleys and looking at other models and thinking about what can I do to the bike to make it more my own. You start thinking about all these things with a Harley. So this isn't a full comprehensive review of a Harley Davidson Sport Glide. It's rather my story of my journey to ending up with a big Harley. And also, this is starting to become my CX500, a bike that I didn't think was particularly good looking to start off with, but yeah, it really is starting to look good now. So if you are thinking of buying a Harley Davidson and you haven't ridden one, I'd strongly recommend you ride one and try go for a longer ride rather than a shorter ride. And yes, you might find it heavy, you might find it cumbersome. Well, I do hope you've enjoyed this latest episode of the Grumpy Petrol Head. And if you have enjoyed it, I'm very surprised. But do stick around. We're going to be looking at some more motorbikes and going for little motorbike rides, and also vintage and classic cars, if that's something that's of interest to you. So thank you for watching, and cheerio for now.